What is going on? It's episode 6 of the SBM podcast. We are here with my good friend Madeleine. Madeleine is in the wedding industry and she is a content creator in the wedding industry. Madeleine, do you want to quickly introduce yourself to the viewers?
Yes. Hi friends, I'm Madeleine. I'm the founder of The Candid Bride, a wedding and event content creation business. We're based here in the Bay Area, but we travel worldwide. So wherever our couples take us, we go.
Amazing. So a lot of people probably don't know what content creator is.
Yeah.
Especially, I didn't even know what it was until about 6 months ago, right?
Yeah.
It's been a very new industry for sure in the wedding space. I'm actually really excited about it, even though we don't offer that as our own wedding photo video business.
Yeah.
It's a completely different medium, as you were saying earlier when we were chatting. Can you first start talking about like what wedding content creation is?
Yes. Great question. I actually get that question. I mean, it feels like more times than not, there's a spectrum of what people understand when it comes to wedding content creation. Either they totally get it or they're like, I've just heard about it, but I know nothing. So wedding content creation is a wedding professional that focuses on iPhone video and photo, and with an emphasis on short form videos. So like 15, 30-second clips, and more of the candid, raw, uncut moments of your day. So think about it like from the big moments to the little moments, in between moments, quiet moments, so that you can just really feel what it was like to get married on your wedding day from a guest perspective, first and foremost. You probably have seen it so much as part of the media team, A lot of the couples, they are so busy taking their photos with themselves, family, they're hiding away, stuff like that. They don't really get to see what their guests are doing when they're gone. So it's a really great option to see, are your guests enjoying themselves? Are they enjoying like all that time, effort, and money you put into for your details, whatever it may be, so that you can relive it as soon as the next day.
Got it. And I think like a main bit of difference as well between like what you guys are doing at content creation and what we're doing as well at like photo video is that we're using like professional mirrorless cameras and you guys are using iPhones, right? So tell me a bit about that, what you guys are like equipment you were using on the day of.
Yeah, so we use iPhone, we have a gimbal, we have an LED light, and then a bunch of battery packs. That's pretty much the foundation of it. Every content creator might have maybe a little bit different. They might have a microphone depending on what they offer, their packages, stuff like that. But it's very different than what a videographer or photographer will have.
Totally. So then how does that also incorporate into capturing on the day of? Like, I know that's like a big question that a lot of probably vendors have, like especially photographers and videographers who never worked with a content creator yet, because it's still such a new space, is like, how do you work alongside the vendors when there's already like, 2 photographers, 2 videographers? It's a big concern not only for the vendor side, but also like for the bride and the groom, which I'm sure you have to talk about a lot when you're pitching your business.
Yeah.
So what would you kind of say to that? Like, how do you work alongside them?
Yes. So photographers, videographers, they definitely get right away. They, you're paying them the big bucks. They get to choose and they run the whole situation. I'm more of the behind the scenes, fly on the wall perspective. So photographers, videographers, they get set first. And then ideally I will get set on the outside so I'm not in anyone's shot. But I can still get a clean view of like whatever is being looked at. Sometimes though I'll pull back so you can see the whole like behind the scenes of the photographer, videographer team as well, in addition to the couple. So it's getting all different perspectives. But yeah, that's kind of how we work with the teams when it can be 3 to 5 plus people.
Totally. And like, I've worked with you personally and you are fantastic at what you do.
Thank you.
That's why I wanted to bring you on this podcast, because it is truly a very new space in the wedding industry. And I've been in the industry for about 3 or 4 years now, right? And like we never ever worked with a content creator until 2024. So it's a very interesting space. It's a different medium than what we offer, which is super cool. I see a lot of value in it for sure, because I don't want all the people there at the guests that are like having their iPhone out taking all this content. One, it doesn't look great. Like, when we're trying to get shots, everyone's got their iPhone out. They're not enjoying in the moment, which like you said, the bride and groom spend so much money and time planning this wedding day, and one of the reasons why we're there is to capture all of it too, right? Like we want to capture it for the bride and groom, but it also, like if you have a content creator there, you feel even less inclined to have your phone out and take the content, because guess what? You're there doing all that for them too, right? So like if I ever see anyone whip out their phone during a ceremony and there's a content creator there, I'm gonna be like, there's literally a person hired specifically for this role. And not to mention for video, we deliver the ceremony pretty much always. So like we have like the entire ceremony captured. So there's really no need to capture iPhone footage on your own personal iPhone during really any time of the day. Unless you want to take like a personal photo or something like that, right? Which totally get that, 100%. But there's a time and a place, you know?
I mean, it's definitely a generational thing. Like you'll
Totally.
see more of the older generation being so excited and wanting to take videos and photos on their own phone, which I'm happy for them to do. But like you said, time and place, like I want to make sure that I'm also capturing what the couple hired me for.
Totally.
But it's always so sweet to see, you know, when people are really into it and they're really excited for their loved ones, and they want to snap a little video or photo.
100%, 100%. And I'll usually be the one that's like taking the phone and getting the photo for them too. Absolutely, totally get it. Cool. Well, we have a whole set of questions, Madeleine, that we want to get into. You've already introduced yourself, which is great. How did you start your business, and how did you kind of get into weddings? Like, this is definitely a very interesting industry to be in, across all spaces, but like weddings specifically. How did you get into it, and why did you want to pursue weddings in particular?
Yeah, so I started The Candid Bride almost a year ago, July 2023. But the first time I got my feet wet as a wedding content creator was the year prior, for my sister and all of her wedding events. That's when content creation, or video rather, was coming to the forefront. TikTok was really big. Reels just came out. People wanted video over posting photos on social media. And she was ahead of her time in a way where she was like, I want someone to follow me around and take videos of all my events because I want those memories. She does not have a big social media presence. She barely ever posts, but she's like, I want those memories. This is a big time in my life. And so at the time I was creating content on my own page in the health and wellness side as a fitness instructor. And I was like, well, I love doing it. I'll do it for you, because I tried to look and that service didn't really exist. We now know like maybe 1 or 2 people in the United States were doing it, but like it wasn't a thing really.
Right, yeah.
And so I was like, okay, well, I'll do what I can as your maid of honor, which was a really big learning lesson too for me as a wedding content creator now, of why you need to have someone designated to it rather than just having a bridesmaid or someone do it. But I did all of her events, her bachelorette, bridal shower, and then her wedding as much as I could.
You're a great sister. That is a lot of work to do.
I would do anything for her, but yes.
Yeah, if she's watching.
Yes.
You're
I love you,
you're
Sophie.
lucky.
No, but she's my biggest supporter,
sure, yeah.
and she is the reason why I got into this. So I created all these reels for her to post. Her friends, my friends, were like, this is amazing. You should make this a thing. And I didn't really know what that thing was. But I agreed, and I saw that there was this need and people were excited about it. So I kind of kept my finger on the pulse. A couple months later, we saw like 1 person pop up, maybe 2 people pop up. And that's when I was like, okay, people are catching on.
Totally.
And I want in.
Yeah.
I love, I saw my sister's wedding. I got really into wedding TikTok, the whole side
Love
of
it. Yep.
And then I got married in May 2023.
Congrats.
Thank you so much. And best day of my life. And I understand as a past bride as well how important having all of those memories are. And I want to be able to gift that to my couples more than anything. So that's kind of how I decided after my wedding I was going to launch it. And then July came around and that was the first day that
Amazing.
I took it.
I love that. Well, you have a very good like kind of elevator pitch for sure, which is fantastic. Yeah.
Thank you.
I definitely know exactly what you do now, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So, and how you started too, which is great. Do you want to like talk a little bit about like, I mean, we're all business owners here, right? Like there's the stress of it. Like it sounded like you were exiting your last job and then you kind of like pivoting hard into, you know, your own business, being an entrepreneur and stuff. I had a very similar story, kind of. Well, similar in the sense that COVID happened and I moved back home. World was like ending, quote unquote, right? Or we all thought it was, right? I was living in Asia at the time, and then moved back home. I had like been playing around with the camera. I was doing a little bit of like media work out in like Vietnam and in Thailand and stuff, just doing some freelance work. And then COVID happened. I came back, and out of necessity, I was like, well, I'm not just gonna sit on my butt, do nothing. Like I gotta, figure out what the next big step is for me.
Yeah.
That's when I started my business, and here we are 4 years later, right?
Oh my God.
So, out of necessity for you, it sounds like you also started your business. So if you wanted to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, necessity is, the biggest, I think, differentiator of wedding content creation to photo and video, which I get a lot of questions around, is that your photography, that is going to be those beautiful edited photos you're going to put on your walls, in your photo albums, and then your videographer is going to create that cinematic movie trailer-like video you can watch every year on your anniversary. It's beautiful and perfectly curated. Then for both of those, there's a delay on receiving that, right? You have either 6 to 8 weeks on the short end, all the way up to a year that you could be receiving those things from your vendors. And if you are someone who prioritizes having memories as soon as the next day and being able to share that with your family and friends while you wait for those perfectly curated and edited deliverables, this is for you. Wedding content creation is for you.
Right.
And that's where the necessity has come from. People want to be able to, on the day after their wedding, whether it's in bed with their new husband or wife or vegging on the couch, to relive those beautiful memories, because it
and
goes
like
by
very raw moments too.
Yes.
Like we don't
Yes.
like I said, we have a very cinematic, edited trailer like movie like film that we deliver. We don't necessarily deliver raw moments, right? That's like kind of like and that's why I'm so excited with the content creator like positions coming in hot now, because it is a very, very different medium than what like photo video offers, because we don't really give out like 10-second clips of like first look normally. Like that, we might do that for like an Instagram post some here and there, but like it's not like that's not what we specialize in, right? Like we're not in the business for the quick clips. We're in the business to sit down with a glass of wine in 10 years and you watch your film from start to finish, and like all your toasts and all that, right? Like it's a documentary style kind of thing. So yeah, definitely the necessity for sure is there. And it sounded like it was perfect timing with you in your own personal life too, right? Like that, just like it just happened to be out of necessity. So
it was. It's more of that content creation is that raw, organic, uncut feel. And then for me, I was at a time and place where I worked as an executive assistant prior, and with everything going on in the world, got laid off like so many people.
Like literally so much. I
so
totally
many
understand
people.
too.
Yeah.
So.
But I believe that the universe works in mysterious ways, or like I was telling you before, the universe has always had my back. And
Facts.
when something happens, it may not be clear at first, but it opened up this possibility of like, look, the Candid Bride's going somewhere. Why don't you focus on that? So it became a pivot, and it's been phenomenal ever since. Just because people are loving content creation, and it's so fun.
It's also a mindset shift, isn't it, too? It's like when you
Yes.
work for yourself, right?
100%.
100%. I'm sure a lot of vendors out there, if they were watching this at some point, like, it is truly like when you go full-time into something, or like, even part-time, and like you were trying to get into full-time, it's like, it's a totally different mindset from like when you're working a full-time corporate job or a 9-to-5 or anything like that. So, and we won't get into that, because that's like that could be a whole 2-hour conversation.
Being a business
and we don't
owner.
have that time, because we're business owners. We don't have that kind of time.
No.
So we won't get into that. So we want to talk a little bit. We've already talked about the highlighting the difference between content creation, wedding, photo, and video. That's definitely something that's a lot like very on the top of people's mind, I think right now, is like the content creator becomes a very big position in the wedding space. And I see it only getting bigger just due to the necessity, as we were just talking about, right? Photo and video will always be there, and I think content creation now is going to always be there too. And this is totally actually not on the script that we were going off of, But I have seen like in other like podcasts and stuff like that, photographers and videographers trying to make in their contract like axing out like content creators. Have you seen that before? Like, is that something that you've witnessed in the past, or have you dealt with that yet?
I haven't dealt with it personally, but it is something that we've heard within the wedding content creation world. It's interesting because I totally get that you want to be the sole person, exclusivity clauses and stuff like that, photographer, videographer, but we are so different mediums, stuff like that. And it's kind of the idea of like, well, what do you do when guests are shooting on their phone? You don't stop them, right?
Totally.
Yes, we are a wedding professional, but it's different mediums, right? To go back to that.
Yeah, and this might be a hot take, but I'm going to go out and say that, like, I think it's completely ridiculous that people are doing that. It is something that you should never have any right to refuse another person, like another vendor, to be at your wedding day.
Yes, and I'm so grateful that that has not been my case. Everyone that I've ever worked with within the media team is so supportive, so understanding, and like welcoming. That it's been wonderful, but I think it's just kind of a mindset, right? It's a limiting mindset that these people have where it's competition to them rather than collaboration.
And the creative community is collaboration over competition.
Yes.
100%. Like, there's competition. Like, of course, it's competition. Like, we're all, trying to get the same clients and all this stuff, right? But the creative community is different in the sense that, like, we can bring people together, and like I can host team events and do all these things, and it's all for the greater good of the community too.
No, in this industry, I mean every industry, but especially in the wedding and event industry, to be successful, you have to be a good collaborator. You have to be a good team player, because otherwise, like everything relies on that. Otherwise, you kind of like isolate yourself, and it kind of lessens the customer experience.
Cool. Well, I'm glad that we could go off topic a little bit, because I did just think of that. I was like, I heard that the other day, and I was like, I could not believe that somebody, photographers and videographers out there, would refuse a position, like a vendor, or they would not work there. And I'm just like, that kind of guy is for sure not going to be lasting long in the industry, right?
1,000%.
Like, that's just how it goes. Like,
Yes.
You're a service-based provider at the end of the day. Like, you're a business and you're a service-based provider. You are working for the client.
You need to be
End of the
flexible.
day.
If you're not, you're going to get left behind.
I get it. You think you're an artist too, right? And like, totally, I understand. Like, we're all artists as well, but primarily, you are providing a service for a wedding, which is, capturing their wedding. And if the bride wants to have another vendor there, that's her call, because it's her wedding.
Yeah. Or the groom.
Or the groom. Sorry, I know I'm just bride. We're usually talking brides,
exactly.
so. But grooms, we know we're not gonna leave you out 100%. But typically, I would say 90% of my sales calls are with the bride only.
1,000%.
So that's just how it goes.
But I know so many grooms that are also very excited about it. So it's so fun to see when they both come on.
Amazing. Let's pivot into the next question. Top 3 things that brides are asking of you, before they book you. Like, what are they kind of like coming to you and being like, Madeleine, like, what are you bringing to the table?
Yeah.
What would you say to that?
Yeah. So the top 3 things that couples are bringing to me are, 1, they're prioritizing candid imagery over transitions or TikToks. And then to go off of that, they're super interested in vows and speeches and how those are being captured and delivered, if they are in deliverables. And then the third thing that they're really interested in is adding on to the wedding day. So it's not just the wedding day they want captured, but they want another event as well. So usually those packages include multiple events.
Interesting. Okay. So like, what do you mean by that? Like a rehearsal dinner, and like maybe like a, I don't know, like trying on the dress or something like that, yeah?
Yeah, so it could be anything from a bridal shower, I've done a lot, bachelorette, you can do an engagement party, rehearsal, like I have tomorrow, I have a rehearsal lunch and a rehearsal dinner that I'm doing on top of the wedding.
Got it.
So
Very interesting. Because
yes.
that's like, I don't offer that at all, right? It's like, and it's wouldn't make sense price-wise, I think, to bring out, the whole vendor team, but like to bring out maybe the content creator for that makes a lot more sense, I feel like, within a reasonable budget. So
yes, and that's one of those other like necessities, gaps that we were talking about. Like, there's so many events, like this whole timeline of being engaged in fiancés, like it's a huge moment. It's not just the wedding day. So it's nice to have that accessibility of having those events captured, and not having to bring out a videographer and stuff like that.
That's brilliant. Honestly, I didn't even think about that. So like, kudos to you and all the content creators out there, because I think that's a great add-on that, you know, can provide immediate value to, you know, couples' weddings for sure. So cool. Very cool. Very cool. I also have another question. Do you like, do couples come with you and mean like, I really want this TikTok made, or like, is that like a thing that you guys doing as well? Like, you're editing the TikToks for them afterwards as well, or is it mostly like raw footage and you're putting together like a few reels that you make on your own kind of thing? Like, what is it? Trends? Like, what's the weight of trends versus like them just getting candidates, like you were saying?
Yeah, so to go back to that first point, it definitely is a higher priority to get that candid, uncut, raw like footage for the memories. However, we still do TikToks in transitions. They're so much fun. This weekend I have a couple that we're going to be doing, but it's not as important as what it was like a year ago when I was getting married.
Fair.
Things have definitely changed a little bit.
It's like when you like jump and do the snap and then all of a sudden you're in your dress. Right?
Yeah.
But that's another cool thing as well, is because like personally, if a couple asked me to do that, I'd be like, we just don't have time to do that. So like we don't have specifically the time. Like, we're just doing so much capturing the rest of the day. Whereas like, that's another thing about the content creator position, is that you guys probably would have more time to focus on specific trends and cool things like that too. Which, you know, like I said, if the bride and the groom want that, like, heck yeah.
Yeah, they're fun. We love them. Just seeing that the trend is that TikToks aren't as important as just capturing the raw, candid moments of their day.
Totally. Cool. I love that. Big fan. Fan. Walk me through some of the big do's and don'ts of the industry. And I know, like, as a new industry position, like, content creators are walking on a fine line. I think, like, not with me personally, because I think you guys are great. And I've loved working with everyone that I've worked with. But like, what are like big do's and don'ts that you've seen so far after being in the industry for like over a year?
So on the grander scale of do's and don'ts for wedding professionals, I would say the do's are collaborate and network. I would also say tag all of the vendors and professionals that are working the wedding, shoot, elopement, whatever it is, give the credit. Be authentic, show your personality. We're capturing authentic moments, so be authentic yourself. I feel like those are the big do's. I'm not so much of a person that focuses on don'ts.
I think negativity,
I think it's a lot easier to focus on what you should do. So, I mean, but if you're someone that does like to know what not to do, just don't do the opposite of that.
A don't is like, don't, you know, take the couple away when they're having like a great time to be like, I need one more shot of you, you know, having like walking down the pretty aisle or sunset or something when they're having like a really good time, right? I see that so many times with like our photo video teams like that we do, and I'm like, I train my guys specifically to be like, if they're having fun, read the room. That's the whole thing, is like, read the room. And that could be across any vendor, right? So there are for sure don'ts that like translate across every industry or every position, right? And it's
absolutely.
Just like, don't do that.
Don't be mean. Don't have a huge ego.
Totally.
You know, don't be focused on just like what you have to capture. Those are like big don'ts, I would say. But yeah, I would say rather just focus on the do. Be open to feedback. Be a great team player. Create an awesome customer experience, and you'll do great.
Amazing. Kind of a business-related question. Like, how do you market yourself? Like, are you mostly getting like organic clients, like through referrals? Like, are you getting like stuff on Instagram? Like, what? I mean, obviously you're a content creator by trade right now, right? Yeah. So you're putting out a lot of content, hopefully on your social media pages. Like, what's the biggest, I guess, avenue or lead generator for you?
So social media is like the biggest one.
I would assume.
Yeah. So creating content that resonates with my ideal client. More times than not, I'm getting inquiries where they're like, I saw you on TikTok, I saw you on Instagram. That's the biggest thing. I haven't ran any sponsored ads yet. I know some people have. Candid Bride hasn't delved into that.
It's a whole thing, yeah.
But the other
Organic's way better.
Yes, super organic. And then the other one that I'm super proud about is my connections through networking. So getting a lot more now that I've been around for almost a year through planners, other photographers, videographers that I've met where they're like, oh, I know someone, I know a content creator, when they're client comes to
Well,
them.
and it's like being willing to do stuff like this, right? It's
Yeah.
like collaborative efforts, like going on a podcast to like go and shoot content that you don't really know what's gonna.
Yeah.
You've never been on a podcast before, right? So
No,
it's like doing
yeah,
things for
first
the
time.
first time and like being willing to do things and like collaborate is what's gonna get you ahead of the game in anything in life, really. But like just especially in the wedding industry for sure, right?
Yes.
Is being willing to collaborate, 100%.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I don't know if you know this, but you're actually you're on our preferred vendor list for sure when it comes to like content creators now. So when
Yay.
people reach out to me, I'm like, candid bride, you know? So it's like things like that where you got to be like willing to, you know, share, collaborate. So it's just a very collaborative community for sure.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored.
Of course. Let's talk about like memories, like
Yes.
you know, and you've obviously you've been doing it for a year.
Yeah, it'll be a year, July 1st.
Okay, amazing. So in the year of shooting weddings, what's been like your favorite memory of like shooting like capturing a wedding with like your couples?
Yeah, so that one's so hard because I have so many memories, but I feel like it'd just be easier to do one of the more recent ones, which you were actually there for.
Ah.
Yes. If you most likely will remember, it was Carly and Devin's wedding.
Yes.
And they were doing their first look, and Devin's dad was off on the side, and he was so excited, so happy. He was shooting on his phone.
Yeah.
And he was like talking to the couple, both Carly and Devin, being like, I'm so happy for you guys. And like Devin was getting teary-eyed, and he's like, it's okay, I'm a crier too. Like, you're just like your dad. And he slowly started to creep into frame, and then, but had no idea. He was just so in love, pure love. And then you hear the moms behind yell at him and like, move, get out of the way. And like Carly and Devin were just giggling the whole time. And it was so sweet. I loved that. That was definitely
their
one of my
wedding
favorites.
was amazing, just like regardless, right? It was so fun.
Yeah. But I mean, those are like one of the guests where I am totally open to them taking their photos, videos, because they're so pure of love and genuine.
100%.
And I want them to have those moments, right? Like there's definitely a different case where people are kind of in the way, they're rude and stuff like that.
Yeah, time and place for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
But like majority of the day, it's your own stuff. Like get
Yes.
it, right? Like your reception, cocktail hour, like you know, whatever. Take photos, have fun. Like it's not like a
No, but I
100%.
I just love a good first look, and I loved Carly and Devin's whole family and their guests. That was one of the things I just remember is how in love everyone was for them. So that was a really special wedding for me.
Yeah.
On the flip side, I would say one of the worst memories.
Worst or funniest or whatever you want to go. Like you don't have to go too negative, right?
No,
like, you can
no.
Go, like you can go whatever you want to do
Yeah,
with it.
yeah.
Like something funny that happened like on a recent wedding or whatever, right? But
Yeah, no, I think that one of the worst ones that is definitely a good topic to bring up, which we have kind of hit on. I worked a wedding where it was a photographer, videographer. They were underneath the same business. So they were really used to working with just themselves. They've never worked with a content creator before. And so I give them grace there. But they definitely were not interested in me being there. They were more interested in the shots that they were going to get and being their sole like team rather than being a joint partnership.
gotta be a team player.
I know. So I had to kindly advocate for myself on behalf of the clients because the clients had hired me to be there and get certain shots, and they were so excited. So it was just working with them to create a good relationship so we could all kind of coexist. But that one was a difficult one.
Wild. And that comes from pure ignorance as well, right?
Yes,
It's like because people
yeah.
don't understand your guys' position and all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And that's why, like, you know, collaborating and like knowing you already, like, I want you to be at all our weddings because I already know I work well with you, right? Kind of thing. And I don't
Yes.
want to bring on someone exactly like you were saying who's just like totally not a team player.
It makes a
you
huge
know?
difference when all of your vendors get along on your wedding day. It's so important.
It makes a massive difference for the couple as well,
Yes,
right? Because
exactly.
the couple sees that, and then it translates over and affects their mood and affects their, you know, level of enjoyment of their own wedding day. Which and I've
Yes.
seen that so many times during a wedding day, where like the vendor team makes it about them, like getting their shot for their portfolio for their stuff. I'm like, y'all, it's
Read
a
the room.
wedding. Read the room. Like
It's
you're,
about them.
You're providing a service for them. It's
Yeah.
their wedding day. Like, I don't care about your portfolio shot.
Yeah,
like, I'm
totally.
sorry, you know, it's just, That's just how it is. Like, you're not like at a styled shoot. You're at someone's wedding.
Yeah.
So 100%. I won't get into it more, but yeah, I completely agree with that. Completely
Yes.
agree with that.
Yeah.
So
And I hopefully like
videographers, don't do that.
and
Don't
hopefully
do that.
hopefully that team is now open to the idea of working
I'm
with a wedding
scared.
content.
I don't want to ask what team that was.
I'll tell you after.
Tell me after,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
now. Okay. I'm not even gonna ask that one. Favorite wedding song like that you've seen, over the last year of.
Oh God, there's so many wedding songs
You
that
hear the same ones over and over again.
I hear a lot of the same ones, but I also I feel like anything that like resonates with the couple, like I love a good song by Teddy Swims. I love a good song by Alicia Keys. Any of I don't know, there's so many different genres that could be
I love a good
spectacular.
Michael Bublé song,
yes,
yeah. I heard one the other day that I was like, they were walking down the aisle, and I can't remember what it was. I'll have to pull it up later. And I was like, this hits on a different level. And I was like, I've never thought of this being like a walk down the aisle song.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is
I
for
know.
sure a walk down the aisle song.
Yeah, there's some really good ones. A song that I heard a long time ago, so I don't know, maybe it's quote unquote chuggy now, but it was so fun is This Is How We Do It when they came back.
This is how we do it. This is how we do it. Yeah,
And
sweet.
everyone was dancing, even in the whatchamacallit, the guests and everything. So it was just like a really feel good song that got people in the
Love
mood
that.
for the celebration after.
I love that.
Yeah.
Big time. Big ups for that. Well, my last question is discuss the importance of collaboration, but we've pretty much nailed that on the head because I think we've discussed fully collaboration over competition.
Yeah.
And especially across the photo, video, content creator, whatever space, it's like you want to collaborate because that's going to help your guys' all businesses perform well, and then also it's going to make sure that your couple and your clients have a good day.
Yeah.
And think back highly on you, on your services, as well as on their own wedding day.
Totally.
So,
And
yeah.
Josh Spiegel from Birch Events,
Yes.
a big high-end decor production and florist, he actually gave a speech at Engage Summits, and he posted it this past week, and it hit on partnerships,
Yeah.
which essentially is collaboration.
Yeah.
And he had some really good quotes, sayings about it that really resonated with me in the sense that he started off by saying, to gain access into this industry, you have to be a good partner.
Yeah.
And you don't make money on partners, you make money with partners.
100%.
If that's the only thing you take away, and that is so true. We are all in a partnership on a wedding day, every vendor, let alone we're all in a partnership in the wedding and events industry. And so in order to succeed and keep succeeding as a whole, we need to be really good partners. We have to put our ego away. No one's bigger than the other person. And work together to create this amazing experience for our clients and their guests. And that's just, I think, so smart and so beautiful.
That was very beautifully put, honestly, very articulate. Yeah, very, very well said. I'm sure that will make it to a cut for sure. But cool. Are there any questions that you have for me, Madeleine, for what we do, for what Sam Media does as a business, what photographers and videographers do, shouldn't do? I don't know, anything that you want. We're out of questions for you, unless there's anything else that you can think of that you want to share about your side of the business.
Yeah. I think that I'm so interested to see or hear from you, what are you getting from brides, couples when they're inquiring with you right now?
I would say in general, what are the big things that they're looking for kind of thing. Because now we're breaking into the photo space, right? So we were primarily just doing video, and now we're doing photo and video. So it's exciting because now we're a lot earlier in the process than video was always a very, very, as I'm sure content creators are probably too, video is a very last vendor that they hire.
Yeah.
Photographers are usually pretty high up on the list because everyone knows they need a photographer for sure at their wedding. They don't want to not have a photographer, right? So it's kind of the bare minimum, I would say, as far as content goes. Maybe that'll change someday. I don't really know. But I'm not gonna say that photographers are gonna be a dying breed. I'm sure I'd probably have my house burned down if that was the case.
Oh no, that they're definitely not going anywhere.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. So No, I would say at least with like the couples who reach out for photo video, they want a lot of candids right now. That's a big thing. They want for sure the entire ceremony and all the toasts. And that's a big one as well as like for video. Our like mid-tier package, our most popular package, does offer photo sneak peeks. Like the candids is like kind of our style too.
Yeah.
That's what we're like really leaning into hard. And then we also offer the toasts and the ceremony included on top of the wedding film.
That's amazing.
So our middle package is like a 5 to 8 minute like highlight film, which is like edited like a trailer, right? You get all the big moments of the day, and then also you get on top of that a ceremony and all the toasts. So like the entire 30-minute to an hour long ceremony as well as all the toasts. So you obviously can't use the entire like ceremony in like a wedding film because that would be way too long.
Yeah.
You'd be sitting there for like an hour.
Yeah.
Which we've actually done before. But like usually most of our couples are like, no, we want the highlight film and then we want like the ceremony and toast. So that's our most popular package for sure, and that's what most people are looking for, I would say, for your most traditional wedding and like 7 to 9 hour day. We usually like land right at 8 hours is kind of where most people are looking for as well as far as coverage. I would say 8 hours is pretty typical. So I would say that's probably the big things people are looking for right now for sure in the photo video space.
Yeah.
I'm sure it translates pretty equally over to content creator. They probably want the same amount of coverage, all that too, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, it definitely resonates in the sense that like one of the biggest things they're asking about are vows and speeches.
yeah.
They
So, I mean,
want
like
those.
you think about it from a content side, like say your, nephew or your cousin couldn't make it all the way out to California to see your wedding, like, and you still wanted to like have a documentation of the speech that you gave or the speech that your dad gave or like, I don't know, parts of the ceremony, your vows, for instance, right, which we can't use in the wedding film like all the time, is you want like a video keepsake for that, right, which is great because we'll keep that forever on our hard drives and in the cloud and all that stuff, right? So we make sure we keep all that for them. So
Yeah, something that I didn't realize until after becoming a bride is like how immediately after the wedding, so many people were like, my family, my friends, stuff like that, they're like, hey, can you send me X, Y, and Z because our aunt, uncle, whatever couldn't be here and they want to see it. They want to still feel connected to that couple, us being in that case, even if they're super far away, and having those moments are so special to be able to share.
Totally.
So that's awesome that you're able to capture it all and also give it to them, because I mean, I don't think I've really heard that from other videographers doing it.
Well, it's because we're the best.
You are.
No,
You are, though.
I mean, they should be too, right? Like,
Yes.
like, hey, like competition for sure. Like, I want them to be better too. Like, I want like couples who don't book us. Like, I want them to get all the content. Like, we're there for the entire day. I'd rather give more than less because I don't want to like keep the content. Like, what am I gonna do with all that footage? Like, it's their day.
Yeah.
I'd rather have the package that they book me. I give them as much stuff as possible, right? So, delivering the full ceremony, delivering all the toast, delivering a teaser, all that stuff like that they can actually like look at it and enjoy, since we're literally there capturing it anyways. Like, why would you not give it to them?
No,
So,
that's next level. I love that you do that.
totally. So, yeah, we try to be cutting edge over here at Sam Bennett Media, you know?
I love
So,
it. So how big is your team right now? I saw that you posted.
man, yeah. Well, I think in the Slack channel now we've got like almost 50, which is
God.
like, that's like part of the community, right? Like, not everyone is on the team per se. Like, they're not all shooting for like Sam Bennett Media on a weekly basis. But definitely a few are for sure. And like we have a lot of guys on like a lot of different weddings throughout the year, kind of all over the Bay Area. They're all like within my own personal network, which has been fantastic. So like
That's
I
amazing.
go out and vet all of them and either train them or they're already trained by somebody else.
Yeah.
They're trained to shoot in our style and like with our techniques and all this too. So they're an extension of me for sure, which is why it's great to scale because I trust them enough to shoot a wedding, right? Which is, end of the day, a very stressful day to capture, and you gotta have a lot of trust in that. And building a team it's extremely difficult, right? Like, requires a lot of patience and a lot of like trial and error. Honestly, that's the big thing too. It's like hiring the wrong person a lot of time, and making mistakes and learning from your mistakes, and it takes a lot, and it's definitely like it's one of the, you either scale through growing a team or you scale by bumping your prices up, right? And right now we're in the spot where I love the kind of couples that we work with. I don't necessarily want to outprice them.
Yeah.
Especially with like the vendors that we collaborate with and stuff. Like, if we start charging, 2x what we're charging now, we lose all those clients, right?
Yeah.
But if we're able to price myself at a rate where I can bring my team on, and have multiple weddings a weekend and do all this, and like my team's able to work, they're getting paid a lot. This is like, they're not full time, but like they are very dependent on like freelancing and, doing weddings, real estate, all these different things, right? It makes me glad because I'm able to provide work for them. I'm able to, provide work for my own company and grow in the way that I want to grow, because in 5 years from now, I don't want to be holding a camera all the time. I want to be able to maybe have a family, do all these things, and not, be working every single weekend doing that. And like, that's the vision I have for myself personally and for where my company's going. And, some people want to scale by price and they want to do everything themselves. And I take my hat off to you because I don't want to do that. So I would rather scale in the sense that like, I have my amazing people behind me, and those are the ones that are supporting me for the next 5, 10, 20 years, however long we go in this crazy industry. So.
And as someone who is looking to grow, and so many content creators are, if they've been in the game for a year or so, they're also looking to grow. Like, how are you finding talent? Where I know it is trial and error, but like, what, after having 50 plus whatever people, you're able to find them?
A lot of it's like hosting great events. So like, I hosted an event. We all went to the A's game last night, right? Like, I bought everyone tickets, I planned it, organized it. So like, it takes a lot of time and effort because you got to like do all these things, organize them. Obviously it costs money. It costs like all these different things. So there's definitely like, you got to have some kind of ROI on it. But in the grand scheme of things, like, you're building a community around like what you're doing, and like, you're passionate about it. And like, we had the best time ever yesterday, right? Like, it was so fun.
So much fun.
It was so fun, right? And my team I think they really had a great time. So it's like, for me to be able to see, and like, I'm bringing people together to, one, collaborate with each other, because now they all know each other. Like, some of them have never met before. Like, they've only seen each other on Slack or on, messaging, or they've seen like their Instagrams and stuff. So it's like really fun to like bring all of them together, and like, a lot of them are friends already and stuff that, and that's something that like I put together, and it's like a very proud moment to be able to say, yeah, it's like a team and like the group that I've like kind of built around, myself and my vision. So
that's huge.
Yeah, thank you.
It's important to find good talent, and talent you're willing to put your name to.
Well, and I didn't really even answer the question of like, how do you find them? And a lot of it's like organic. Like, I worked a wedding, and I loved the photographer that was working there. And I was like, well, that's like where it starts. And you start asking other vendors, like, do you know any people who are freelancing, or do you know of anyone that is looking for more work? And then you bring on second shooters, and then you train them to become lead shooters. And so that's probably the number one way, is organic outreach. So just like shooting DMs, getting coffee, bringing them on a podcast, like anything to like kind of collaborate and chat with them, because that's how you got to first really make that immediate connection. Like, I would never send anybody to a wedding that I've never met, or like worked with or anything like that. So you got to have like that trust for sure.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Trust is huge. And it's also really scary to trust someone with
your
business and your name. But
it is totally. And like I said,
order
they're
to
an
grow.
extension of me. It's like, I have to like really trust them to like, make sure that they uphold our reputation, and they like are representing me well in my company and stuff. So totally. But,
you gotta let go of that, and you gotta grow.
And that's the number one thing for creatives, right? Is they don't let go.
Yeah.
It's such a hard thing for them to let go, and like, I get it. Like, I've been there, and I'm, I constantly struggle with it. But you want to scale in the way that I don't want to have to be able to, burn out myself in the next 10 years. No. I gotta scale by, one of two ways.
Exactly.
Charge more, take on less work, or you bring on people to help you out. So.
Exactly. So that you can also live your life and
enjoy this crazy adventure of life that we, have a very finite amount of days on.
Yes.
So totally.
Well, that's amazing.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you having me on.
Cool.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, it sounds like that is a wrap. Madeleine, thank you so much for coming on episode number
Sam.
6 today. I'm sure you'll see Madeleine's content all over social media. She is amazing what she does. So, thank you, Madeleine, for coming on, and excited to hopefully work with you some more throughout the year.
Absolutely. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. And
of course.
You're one of my favorite videographers. I can't wait to do more weddings together.
Interesting.
Yes.
Sweet. All right. That's a wrap.